Guys, welcome to Real Talk. It's great to be with you on a Friday morning. Thank you kindly for joining us. This show, an insider's guide to real estate across Central Virginia. Today, Fluvanna County in the spotlight. Bryan, our guest. He's the Director of Economic Development. We're going to spotlight everything Fluvanna County related. We're going to really highlight the Lake Monticello neighborhood today. Of course, Real Talk thanks to a handful of sponsors. And today, we'd like to spotlight Roy Wheeler Realty Company, the longest-standing real estate firm servicing Charlottesville, Central Virginia, Albemarle County in totality. Roy Wheeler Realty Company, a trusted brand in the business. Ladies and gentlemen, Harris Tolber and Judah Wickhauer help make the show possible. My name is Jerry Miller. Why don't we, fellas, go to the studio cam and then the two-shot with Keith and I. And Keith, I'm going to get out of the way for you. Happy Friday to you.
Happy Friday, my friend.
How are you feeling today?
You know, like I said earlier, if I was doing any better, it'd be illegal.
I love it. I love it. We got a fantastic program lined up, Keith.
We do.
Give us the cliff notes before we get into the nitty-gritty of what we can expect today.
So we're going to talk some stuff that has been near and dear to my heart for actually 3 decades, since 1987, and that's economic development in Fluvanna County, the growth of the Zion's Crossroads area, particularly water and sewer that's been on its way for as many decades as I've been in the county, if not longer. Talk a little bit about the market at Lake Monticello and a couple of neat projects that are coming online. So I'm excited. Bryan, I know I use this every show. We only bring rock stars on, and Bryan is clearly one of those. And as you say, I'm going to get out of the way and let Bryan rock our world here.
Bryan, the who, what, when, where, why, first of you personally.
Okay.
And then we'll get into the business side of things. Bryan's passions, hobbies, interests, what you're all about.
So my name is Bryan Rothamel. I'm the Economic Development Coordinator for Fluvanna County. I've been with the county for just over 4 months, started in February, but my history with the county goes back quite some time. My parents moved down from New York in 89, 90, and grew up in the county, proud Fluco graduate of 2006. Then went off to High Point University for some time, graduated, came back home, and I graduated with a journalism degree, started my own website and covering Fluvanna County. And over the course of time, worked also with Neil Williamson with Free Enterprise Forum for the last few years, covering Fluvanna County and the Board of Supervisors, and really started to take a liking to economic development as sitting in the pew watching the Board of Supervisors and thinking about what we can do, what I could do if I was in that role. And when it became open, I asked them, would you take me seriously if I applied? And they said, if you're serious, apply. And after about 20 hours of preparation for the interview, came in quite ready and quite excited and really glad to be with the county now.
I love it.
He was a shoo-in. He just didn't know it.
I agree. And I was first touched by the Bryan Rothamel brand through the Fluco blog. I think the brand still lives in perpetuity with guys like Jason Barnett and Jason Davis constantly referencing it on social media. You made such a connection with Fluvanna County athletics, really spreading the gospel and the good word and positive vibes across the county. I got a follow-up question for you, and then this will be our first Sizzle Reel about Bryan. Talk to us about specifically what you're doing from an economic development standpoint within the county.
So the county's in a great spot right now. We've been doing all this work. As Keith said, we've had projects that we've been talking about for, we think, over 40 years coming to fruition. So the first thing, though, that we're trying to do is grow the businesses we currently have, and we kind of have a plan for that, as well as attracting new business. We're trying to increase exposure of our assets. Fluvanna County is a beautiful place. We have over a 900-acre park right in the center of county with 22 miles of trails, biking, horse trails. We have a disc golf just opened up, huge dog park, 2 museums. It's really great what we have going on. So we're trying to increase the exposure of our assets to especially the greater Charlottesville area. We're trying to meet with our current businesses to see how we can do to help them. Trying to meet with our Zion Crossroad owners to see who wants to sell and how we can help them through that process. And then we're working with our regional partners that we have available, whether it's the Central Virginia Partnership for Economic Development or already at the state level, the Virginia Economic Development Partnership. And then lastly, we're creating in-person opportunities for people to gather in the county. So that's kind of our 5 directions that we're kind of going.
Pillars.
Yeah, we're moving from there.
I love it.
Stealing my pillars.
Yeah. That's the first Sizzle Reel right there. His 2 answers, Sizzle Reel, an approachable clip we cut from the program. Keith Smith, jump in here, buddy.
Yeah, so, I was, as Bryan was talking, I remember sitting next to him in Board of Supervisor meetings in pews, I'm a bit of a Board of Supervisor-aholic, I guess, and attend a bunch of meetings and try to keep engaged and so forth and so on. But I think one of the things I'd like Bryan to talk a little bit about is this water and sewer project that's been going on for 40 years. I've been directly and indirectly involved in it since 87, 88. It's a game changer for what we're trying to do, or what Bryan and the county's trying to do in Zion's Crossroads. I'm going to, because I'll end up getting in the weeds and then you guys will start walking me back. But I'd like Bryan just to kind of talk a little bit about, where the project's at, a bit of the genesis of it. I'll chime in a few spots where I actually sat in a few meetings, and then what we're moving forward, and then possibly how we're tying together with Louisa, trying to work together to develop that area to create a alternate tax space other than rooftops. So
I love it.
That's a big loaded question, but we'll pick it apart.
That's great. And this is going to be the second Sizzle Reel. Keith's question to Bryan. The show is yours, Bryan.
All right, so the Zion Crossroads water and sewer system is an exciting endeavor that the county has undertook. We started on March 8th of this year with construction notice to proceed to our 3 contractors. It's 3 projects in one. So we have the pipes themselves that are going in the ground. That's both the force main and the main water line. And then we have the pump station. So we have the water booster station, and then we have the wastewater pump station. And then finally we have the elevated water storage tank. So with those 3 projects happening right now, we'll service 4 miles of the Route 250, Route 15 corridor, and we're expecting completion to be by October 31st, 2020. It's a really exciting time. It'll be 75,000 gallons of treated water coming from the Department of Corrections, and over 100,000 gallons of treated sewer that the Department of Corrections is handling for us.
So to put it in a different perspective, what they're building is the backbone, right? So this backbone is coming from the Department of Corrections on 250, running all the way up to Zion's Crossroads, and it's both the water and the sewer on that. What makes that so important from a development perspective, and as you know, I'm a recovering developer, what excites that part of the world or developers is this other, it's called the JRWA, James River Water Authority. And this has been in the works for many, many, many years, but what's going to be really exciting about that, they're going to backstop that or connect that through Louisa with 400,000 gallons of treated water. There's relationships in place, and it's going to take a little bit of time, but this process is going. So when you say 75,000 gallons of water, that's really not a lot, right?
It's a good start, though, for us.
It's an excellent start. But from my perspective, looking at it as a developer or a potential business owner, the backbone is the important part, that it's scalable, it can grow. To put it for a little bit of perspective, 400 to 500,000 gallons of water and sewer is what Lake Monticello uses every day. So that's 4,500 houses. We'll talk about it later. A ton of businesses, restaurants, and so that type of growth will be possible in Zion's Crossroads.
I love it.
So that's phase 2 of that project. So the James River Water Authority will take water from the James River. We'll send it. It's a joint venture with Louisa. Louisa's paying to have water go to their county border, and then they'll be treating our water and bringing it back to us. So we have that agreement as kind of phase 2. The first phase, though, with the 4 miles is here with the Department of Corrections. So we're just really excited for both projects to get going. It's been a long time coming, and we're just really glad to get going. I started in February, and this project started on March. So it's a really nice welcome to the county. Oh, here you go. We've got water in our biggest growth area.
Yeah, I love it.
But you're in a very, like we were talking off air. I mean, you've got here on top of shoulders of many people.
Oh, yeah.
To get here. But you're in the perfect spot right now because, we're going to talk a little bit later about another subdivision that's coming in. And, it's really hard for Bryan to sell to I Love Charlottesville to move, or whatever business to move out there if you don't have the water and sewer, right? So it's a chicken and egg kind of thing. And now, I've been saying this for years, now we have something to sell. Now Bryan has something to sell and bring in businesses. I was thinking about this on the way in. We have a solar farm out there, don't we?
There is a solar farm on the west side of 15, south of 250.
So I bring that up for a reason because, Fluvanna, it kind of doesn't get thought about, but we've been on, or the county, in my opinion, has been on the cutting edge of stuff like this. I mean, I'm not sure of any other jurisdiction in the area, and maybe I'm wrong, and if Neil's watching, he'll surely correct me, but I can't think of any other jurisdiction that has a solar farm in it.
Well, I don't know that answer, but what we do know is we've pinned the link to Fluvanna County's website where it's a breakdown of the water and sewer system. We've pinned that on all the channels that you're watching right now. So give it a tap if you'd like to learn more about this. From our perspective, we clearly see the demand for housing pushing from Charlottesville through Albemarle and throughout Central Virginia. We clearly see that boom happening in Louisa with Zion's Crossroads, what's happening to Spring Creek. We see the trickle-over effect happening to Fluvanna, happening to Greene, happening to Orange County and Barbersville. The question I'm going to throw to you, you guys are getting, let's say, from a layman's perspective, the infrastructure in place for what is going to be some pretty massive growth in Fluvanna. Where do you anticipate that growth happening? First question, within the county. The second question I have for you is, how is the relationship with Louisa complementary or furthering that momentum of growth?
So this is going to steal some of Keith's thunder that I know he wanted to talk about. I'm going to start first with how we work with Louisa. The county line goes just south of the 250 and 15 intersection. So all the restaurants and things that you see right now are currently in Louisa. Louisa put in water in the late 90s, early 2000s, and you can see the growth that happened there. We're going to be working with Louisa County with the Thomas Jefferson Planning District Commission, TJPDC, we work for a small area plan for Zion Crossroads. That's going to include everything from transportation to land use to how we both counties see the area growing, kind of give us a map for both sides, because what happens in Louisa, businesses don't see county lines. They just see an area that they want to go to. So we want to make sure that we do that together in lockstep. And now that we both will have water, we'll be able to do that. When we expanded in 2014 the Zion Crossroads Community Planning Area, for those that don't know, that's a growth area that you'd have in your comprehensive plan. And it gives an idea to developers to say, here's where we're looking for growth to occur. We expanded the Zion Crossroads one and made the other ones smaller. We adjusted them. And the reason is we've heard from our residents, we want to keep Fluvanna as naturally beautiful as it is today. But we do want to see growth in that Zion Crossroads area. So we're looking to attract businesses. We're looking to start to attract retail, things that can happen inside the county, because currently we have 7,000 workers a day that leave the county to go to work, and they're spending 33.4 minutes
commuting
in the car is their average commute.
And you want to keep them in.
Correct. So we're talking about over 9 hours of your day not in the county. So if we can get some more jobs, we're working on when we talk about water and why water is so important. If you had a factory was coming to an area and they wanted to, let's say they were making solar panels and they needed water suppression for fire, we can't provide that. A well is not going to work for them on that.
We can now, though.
We can now. So that's kind of the advantage of where we are. So that's why we're looking at Zion Crossroads. It's the only community planning area that did not have some type of water infrastructure before October 2020, which is kind of interesting where you think about how the county is growing and where we're looking for growth. So we're really excited to kind of put that on a level playing field with a perfect location along 2 U.S. highways and an interstate, access to an interstate.
So, Judah, that's going to be our third Sizzle Reel. My question to Bryan about Fluvanna and the partnership with Louisa, the second Sizzle Reel went all the way up to that question, so you now are in the midst of the third one. Jump in the mix here, Keith.
Well, obviously you guys got it, so I think we ought to talk about the Mets. But
Come on now.
Well, I got to throw this out here. You know, we're both Mets fans, Bryan and I. Different eras. I got to see Willie Mays play way back.
You got to see a championship.
I got to see a championship.
We were close with Strawberry and Doc. Actually, Strawberry and Doc Gooden were before your time.
Yeah,
weren't
dude.
they?
Okay.
Right
Let's get back. Let's get back to real estate, guys.
Okay, I could talk all day about this.
I know that. So, Bryan totally stole my thunder. But just to kind of wrap it up a little bit on that. As everybody knows who watches the show, I sit on the Thomas Jefferson Planning District Commission. So about a year ago, I made a motion that would bring both counties' economic development directors and counties administrators to put together a small area plan. So those who watch your show regularly, we just did this for the Cherry Avenue small area plan. We're doing this for different jurisdictions around the area. But just to add a little reality to what Bryan's talking about and how just the fact that pipes going in the ground impacts the marketplace. Can't tell specifically who because they're clients of ours, but we've got 2 hotels that I'm working with over on the Louisa side, and 2 full-service restaurants. Both of them are, as far as the restaurants are concerned, they are not huge chains. They're local folks that are growing their brand and growing their footprint. And on the Louisa side of the line, in various forms of applications, there's roughly additional 800 units in some sort of rezoning process or planning process. They haven't been approved yet, but so my point is all those triggers got pulled literally out and around the same time Fluvanna pulled its trigger.
Friend of mine, Fitzgerald Barnes, is
no Fitz well.
Fitz, I know Fitz, a good guy.
Fellow Marine,
Board of
by the way.
Supervisors, Louisa County. He is a driving force in Louisa. I think that's safe to say. I think what's happening with Louisa, and I'm going to throw this to you. We're seeing a ridiculous boom because of its proximity to 64, its close proximity to Charlottesville and to Richmond. Spring Creek really was a linchpin or driver of this growth because when you have, say, 275 to, say, upwards of 600,000 home in a very aggregated area, you're creating disposable income and you're creating people who want to stay and grow and patronize the area. So that's why we're seeing that quarter boom. We're seeing it trickle over to Fluvanna, undoubtedly. We know the epicenter for employment is Charlottesville in a lot of ways. You have said you want to keep that employment perhaps in Charlottesville, or in Fluvanna. In Fluvanna.
We'd like to attract it, correct.
Right. What sectors of employment would you like to see take off in the next years to come in Fluvanna to keep the bodies in the county?
Well, we're working currently, kind of first step of that is the businesses that we currently have to help them grow.
Okay.
So we're working with our CTE programs, we're working with PVCC. How can we get our jobs that we currently have and increase them? Everyone always talks about wouldn't it be great if we could get a 50 job new company to come in, and that would be absolutely fantastic, and we're working very hard for that to happen. But if I can get 5 businesses to add 10 jobs each, or it has that same effect, it's going to help our current Fluvanna County economy. So we're working with the CTE program, working with the community colleges to see where we can go with that, how we can help those companies, where we can connect the dots. We have a great CTE program.
You might want to explain what that acronym is.
Oh, Career and Technical Education.
Thank you.
So we've met with, went through the school system, and it's absolutely fantastic, the woodwork that we're accomplishing. They're building small houses, going through the ag shop. They've done everything from metal work to working on plants, and they have a greenhouse, an annual sale that they do. They're winning awards. Even when you talk about critical thinking, our forensics team has won 3 of the last 4 state championships. Yeah. And this year, it was amazing how well they did. They did better this year than they've ever done before, which is remarkable because I've been a judge for them several times, and they were pretty amazing 4 years ago. So really have a knowledge base, and I kind of joke that our greatest export is knowledge because we have so many people leave the county for jobs that if we can try to keep that knowledge here, and how can we connect all these dots of our current companies to give them a good workforce so people can grow up in the county and stay in the county.
Love that answer. I'm going to throw this to you. And big ups to the Fluvanna County baseball team for a state championship. I remember covering the Fluco baseball team when Mad Dog Mike Sheridan was the coach. And love you, Coach Sheridan, if you're watching right now.
He's the chairman of the Board of Supervisors, so you have to say
He's my buddy.
He's your
He's
buddy.
a good dude here. I'm going to throw this to you. Fluvanna, and we're going to go to the talking points. I got a question on that as well. But Fluvanna, we're businessmen.
Sure.
We understand the value of driving incremental revenue, return on investment, doing well by the team members.
Sure.
Can the county incentivize, maybe some tax incentives, a big-time employer to come? What can the county do to get this like major employer to come to Fluvanna?
So whatever answer I'm going to give you is my opinion.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
Not
We're
Brian.
spitballing for a talk show.
Not Brian's, or because I don't want to get him into trouble
Right.
with his bosses and so forth and so on. So from my perspective, so I work in many jurisdictions around the state of Virginia, particularly the 6 around here. And I've been involved in enough discussions over the years. When there's tax incentives and connection fee discounts and so forth and so on, it is my belief Fluvanna County will do, as long as it's a good project, will do what is needed to make that project come here. I think what's the most exciting part of it is the partnership with Louisa, because it's I kind of explain it this way. When you ever see a CVS on one corner and a Walgreens always goes on the other corner, well, there's a reason for that, right? There's traffic being driven. There's like businesses. One thinks, well, how can 2 pharmacies survive? Well, it's because the traffic is there and the business is there. Where the 2 counties are working together, and that's something I've been pushing for years. And I think that's going to work out well. I can assure you there'll be some incentives. I can't tell you what it is, though.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I look at it from like trying to forecast.
Yeah.
Like, this is a huge growth area.
Yeah.
And scooping up the land, taking a team out there. I mean, as someone who's running a business, Bryan, in Charlottesville, the taxes are ridiculous. Ridiculous. The cost of living is ridiculous. I see so much potential there. Let me throw it to Lake Monticello, because this is important to you. How do we see the lake and the neighborhood playing into the future of the county? You got a lot of bodies there.
Well, that's one thing I looked at as an advantage is that you do have a concentrated amount of people in one location, and if we can mobilize them, group them together a little bit better and show them ways that they can do more things, instead of turning right on 53, turn left on 53, and come to Pleasant Grove for a day. Or I always say you can spend a good weekend in Fluvanna and never leave the county limits.
So I'll jump in on that.
Positives?
Well, I've lived there since 1987.
Right.
So basically for the first 25 years of my business, I never left the county. I never left Lake Monticello, because I built 20, 30, 40 homes a year. We were saying before we went on air, when I moved there in 87, out of 4,500 lots, there was only 600 houses. So I didn't need to go anywhere. And I would get what I call lake-itis, right? Because I wouldn't come into Charlottesville for like a week. And so we would just go into town. But, just to tell you how that growth has changed since that period of time, we need to come into Charlottesville to buy gas, right? To go grocery shopping. Now, we've got the Food Lion, and Bryan might correct me if I'm wrong, but I know the general manager over that is the highest revenue producing Food Lion in the state of Virginia for its size.
That I do not know, so I can't
no,
verify. But I know they just renovated.
They are.
And they're doing a great job. We have also Good Neighbor Pharmacy in that same shopping center. They're up for best Good Neighbor Pharmacy in the nation. They're a finalist for that, so you can go on and vote.
So around the perimeter of Lake Monticello, you can eat, just eating. You've got a Blue 53, which is like a sports bar kind of thing.
I know it well.
2 Italian places up over there, a Chinese takeout. What am I missing over there?
Taste Buds.
You've got.
Let's not forget the Dogwood.
Well, we're just talking about at where the Food Lion.
Okay.
At Turkey
I'm just
Sack.
on the Food Lion
Gotcha.
side.
Okay.
The sandwich place. Come on.
A sandwich
Subway.
spot?
Subway.
Yeah. See, I told you it was smart.
Then you
job,
go over.
Bryan.
Then you go over to Slice. You have another Chinese. We also missed Papa John's, Domino's. We just opened up
Mexican.
You have a Mexican restaurant there. Just opened up a burger place. We're just going, that's just 2 gates of Lake Monticello. It's really, you're starting to see people start to show an interest as things start to get smaller, as Louisa starts to grow, as Charlottesville starts to grow. We're starting to see other retailers say, like, now Lake Monticello makes a little bit more sense. The Lake Monticello area makes sense for me because of delivery truck routes. I'm nearby already, and if I can tap into that neighborhood, tap into people from Scottsville starting to come, people from Fort Union coming to that area. We're seeing a lot of people more interested in the Lake Monticello area when it comes to economic development.
I love it. I love it. What are you seeing in the positives of the neighborhood? I mean, from a market standpoint, the homes are on fire.
Totally on fire. And, I know we have a couple of pictures of Lake Monticello, and you kind of...
We're rotating them.
Rotating them, too.
Yeah. And keep them coming, JW.
So just to talk about the market, flat-up market. I ran some numbers this morning. As we're standing right now, Lake Monticello, there's 49 units, 49 homes for sale. There are 49 homes in pending, so that means there's 49 homes under contract. And, hold on a second, and 87 sold. And that is, I just took a 90-day bite at it, what's going on in the last 90 days. So, if you do the math a little bit, these homes are spending less than 30 days on market.
It's impressive.
You're where else are you going to buy?
What's the price points?
I was just going to tell you that. Just a second. I don't want to quote the wrong number. So the median sales price is $221,000. Excuse me, 900. 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, roughly 2,000 square feet, 21 days on market. Right now, what's active is 49, and the median sales price on that is $265. Same square footage, same number of baths and bedrooms and stuff like that.
I think what we're going to see happening, especially as we run out of inventory in Charlottesville and Albemarle County, we're going to see a lot of folks move into Fluvanna from Charlottesville and Albemarle County. It's already happening now. And as that happens and as entrepreneurs penetrate Fluvanna, entrepreneurs are going to be like, look, I don't want to commute. I want to open my business here. And then they're going to talk to Bryan. They're going to talk to the county in totality, and they're going to say, how can I open the business here? I mean, I think it's like the future is so bright in Fluvanna right now.
Well, and we're also, you talk about an entrepreneur, someone that's working from home. Biggest complaint we have right now for the people that live in our more rural areas is internet.
Right, speed.
Yeah, Central Virginia Electric Co-op has undertaken a project, and it's going to be within 5 years. They're bringing fiber internet to every one of their customers. They
totally taking my thunder away from me.
That's serious.
They happen to cover 85% of our county, so it's a great project for our residents to participate in. The first substation that'll be turning on, the Zion Crossroads substation,
nice.
And that'll be turned on later on this year. So you want to talk about a real game changer when it comes. You can live and have the great quality of life that we have in Fluvanna County and operate your business with high-speed internet.
Do you have conversations with like firms like Ting about coming out to Fluvanna so there's multiple providers? How does that work with building Wi-Fi and internet infrastructure within the county?
The CVEC project happened before my time at Fluvanna, so I'm not quite sure how that occurred. But with CVEC coming up with that initiative, it's just such a big help for the county. They also have put Firefly in the Palmyra office that they have. So they added about 10 jobs, just over 10 jobs to the county. So another job growth for our community. It's so great when you can say to someone, they're like, I'm having internet troubles. And I'm like, look, you can have high-speed internet within 5 years. So like 5 years, that's a long time. I'm like, but they're saying it's within 5 years. Where previously it'd be like, we'll see what happens. It's just such a great option for the community.
I love that.
So I know a little bit about this because we've been debating this for 10 years, as long as I've been on the Thomas Jefferson Planning District Commission. And this is a multi-jurisdictional project. It's not just exclusive to Fluvanna County. But I can tell you Fluvanna County took the lead on it, on pushing it forward. And to simplify it, as Bryan said, they have all these easements throughout the county, and they've agreed to lay this, it's going to be fiber.
That's amazing.
So
that's big time.
Even though you mentioned Ting, you're going to end up with the CVEC program to have the same speeds as that. It's going to be the fiber speeds on it. Total game changer. The business influx is going to be huge. But that is a lot of hard work with multiple boards of supervisors over the years, multiple county administrators. If you want to look for an example how local governments work and can work together to make something happen, that's a prime example. You look to that for a win.
I love it. Let me throw this to you. Are you seeing everyone, because you both have serious connections, everyone in the county pro-growth? I mean, like any municipality, there's some folks that are...
Yeah. So you're trying to bait me into
No,
a question.
I'm just curious. I'm curious.
Well, I mean, human nature is human nature, right?
Right.
You're going to have some folks that are in favor of something and some folks that aren't. As one who works in that world of real estate and sales and development and helping folks get projects approved, it's always a function of education, re-education, education, and just being honest and open with everybody. But yeah, some people don't want to change. I can tell you around Lake Monticello, there's a lot of folks that have a funny accent like mine that have been there for a while that don't want anything to change, and that's human nature. So I think that's the way of not answering that question the best way I can.
Played it well.
Okay.
Well, I think the one thing that the county did in planning back in 2014 was when we did expand the Zion Crossroads CPA, we took our other growth areas and adjusted them. Palmyra specifically was one that shrunk. So you're seeing the county say, we want to be as naturally beautiful as we are today. However, we do need to work on evening out those taxes. 93% of our taxes come from rooftops, and that's really difficult.
That's tough.
Every year.
Yeah.
To work on that.
So I'll do another shout out for Fluvanna County. Steve Nichols is retiring. He's our current county administrator. Bit of a rock star of a guy. I have a unique love for him because he's a Navy corpsman, and I got my butt saved by a couple of them. So me and him have a
lot in common.
Have a lot in common. A little bit of love-hate relationship. That's because I'm Marine and he's a Navy, so that has to be that way. He implemented something several years ago, which is unique amongst the 6 jurisdictions. He streamlined the rezoning process, and where you can find out pretty much in 6 to 8 weeks, if this is a doable project or not.
It's a 7-week rezoning or an SUP process.
Special use permit.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
We're acronym free here.
Yeah, we work.
Trying to make it layman's.
I know. I work in too many acronyms. So
we all do.
Yeah. So the rezoning or the special use permit process, you file on the 1st. Then you'll have your planning commission meeting the next month. And then a week after that, you'll have your board of supervisor public hearing.
So why this is
that's the shortest time you can go through, as long as there's no hiccups or anything.
Well, there's
That's
always
short.
You'll know if you're viable or not within 7-8 weeks. Depending on how you hit the cycle.
I mean, you compare and contrast that to Charlottesville. That is like night and day different.
The goal for us is so much about business, as you guys are aware, of making decisions and wanting them to happen. If you're sitting through a rezoning through the county, we're slowing things down for you. We're trying to make it quicker. You're talking about incentives. The big thing for businesses is predictable costs, and then also trying to make that happen even quicker and easier. And that's why we're doing things like we're starting to talk about how can we work for workforce development? How can we help with how can we make the rezoning process simpler and easier to go through? Those are all things that are going to help businesses. So,
love this answer.
Yeah. So
Seriously.
So you look at like the Amazon project. You compare and contrast those. The Virginia win versus the New York win. The money was completely different. New York's incentive package was much higher than Virginia. However, where Virginia changed and what Virginia did that was so important, they created the workforce. Correct. We're doing so much in the Commonwealth so that we can help with getting more computer engineers and software engineers through the process so that Amazon can see that. And you take that as a big picture, and how can we do that in the locality? And that's kind of what I look at.
Amazon's impacting us. Some of the people that we're talking to on the commercial level, that I'm talking to on a commercial level, that there's a direct correlation between what Amazon is doing in Crystal City and here, and getting that feedback of.
Talk to us about that correlation.
Well, so as Bryan said, there's only so much people in the pool, right? Labor force is a little tight right now, so they're looking from outside areas of bringing them in. We're helping a couple of their executives actually buy houses here in Western Albemarle, so they're going to commute. But so it's kind of that Amazon thing. Is everybody thought it was just going to be a Northern Virginia thing? It has really spread itself out around the county. So I can see James. Right, my brother-in-law.
Yeah, James Watson.
Yeah, he travels back and forth
to DC.
To DC, and because of Amazon, there's some uptick on work that what he does, and so it's kind of this big picture relationship stuff.
A question coming in. I'm going to throw this to you guys. Barbara Lundgren, we appreciate you on the show. Most residents, no matter how long you have lived here, I am a native of Charlottesville, are in favor of growth as long as our infrastructure supports it, and that is not happening here. We are nowhere close to keeping up with roadways and much too slow in addressing numerous issues. So where she wants to go is, do we have the infrastructure in place should the growth happen, say perhaps from a road standpoint? Where we're really seeing that impacting a municipality is Crozet. Crozet is being flooded with people, Old Trail. There is two ways basically to get into Crozet. When an accident happens on one of those two ways, creating a bottleneck, it impacts Crozet big time. So maybe if we could forecast, and we'll talk to the... You want to jump in on this one?
I'll jump in on this
Okay.
a little bit because I think some of this happened a little bit before Bryan's time. So we're focusing on conversation around Zion's Crossroads for the moment, and the answer is yes. So we're bringing in the water and sewer infrastructure, or the county is bringing in the water and sewer infrastructure. But several years ago, matter of fact, 10 years ago, VDOT got in front of this and created a new interchange at 15 and 64. It's cool, and I can send you a link to look it up, but if anybody wants to look it up on Google, it's called a Divergent Diamond interchange. So what VDOT has saw the growth there and the need to increase the road infrastructure before the actual development happened. And it in simplistic terms, and there's a video you can see on it if we find it to send it out. It takes that normal traditional 4-leaf clover interchange, and it makes this, it's almost impossible to describe it, but what the bottom line of it is, it pushes the same amount of volume of cars in a much smaller footprint. Well,
Most important thing is, I don't know where it is in the approval process, but I know at one point VDOT was talking about that at Pantops. I think that at 250 and 64, I'm not sure if that got approved.
They did not.
No.
No.
Okay. So the Diverging Diamond, it allows in the same footprint that we previously had, you can get on 64. Essentially, like when I'm coming from Palmyra and coming to Charlottesville, I can get onto 64 West, and I'm crossing over 64 through one traffic light instead of two. So you can get so much more traffic quicker through it's a really interesting thing. I believe it came from France, came from Europe. And
so I experienced them when I lived in Europe for 6 years. They're all over France on that. There's only about 4 or 5 of them in the country, and one of them is us.
Yeah, they've seen them start to expand and grow. I actually went through the other one. There at the time that Zion Crossroads was built, I think there was like 3 in the country.
That's correct. Yeah.
There was I believe it was Asheville, North Carolina, and I drove through it. And it's funny when you drive through it. If you're not used to it, it's so natural. You would think when you switch lanes and you're driving on the left side and they're coming on the right side, it's just a very natural
It's
thing.
so convenient and easy. I live in Redfields in southern Albemarle County, right off 5th Street Extended. Instead of going to the Lowe's on 29 North, we hop on the interstate and go to the Lowe's on Zion's Crossroads. And it's so easy to use, Bryan.
Yeah.
I would love to see more.
So, and part of the TJPDC plan the small area plan, we're bringing transportation to the table.
Correct.
So that we can have that growth. The advantage that we have at Zion Crossroads, it's a blank slate. There's not a tremendous amount of development. We do have a couple industrial parks. We have a couple areas already zoned industrial. We have several businesses already there. But overall, when you look at the entire map of it, we're able to kind of map it out the way I'm sure planners would love to see that on the front end rather than trying to piecemeal it together.
like I said, I think I just need to get it away for this whole conversation. He's pretty much
You're
on point, and just making life so much simpler for me. I can just sit here and answer emails while you guys are doing some rock star stuff. But the short answer is VDOT, Louisa, Fluvanna got in front of this, and did the infrastructure work to support the future growth. So that would be my answer to the viewer that was watching. So I think in Zion's Crossroads, it's a little bit different than, say, some parts of Charlottesville.
Sure.
To do that.
Let me throw this to you.
Sure.
You call yourself a recovering developer.
I am.
So I'm going to throw this from a developer standpoint. A guy like Keith Woodard struggled to get his West 2nd project going on Water Street because of the exact opposite that's happening in Fluvanna. City Hall has made any kind of development, any kind of entrepreneurship and business very difficult in Charlottesville. Very bureaucratic, very arduous. Fluvanna, it's seamless. It seems.
Well,
it seems.
Nothing's ever easy
Right.
in this line of work, but
Easier than Charlottesville.
here, and I'm not going to disparage
Sure.
any of my fellow jurisdictions that I work in and all that great stuff, and everybody has their own processes and all that stuff. As a recovering developer, and normally I tell people in my 10th step, but I'm probably really only in my first step of recovery. Give me the book, give me the rules to follow. What can I, how can I step through this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6? And that's what Steve Nichols did. He gave a book, gave a roadmap. So you can follow through it, and if you don't, if you don't hit those boxes, then you're not going to get done in 7 weeks. And it's pretty seamless, and you really know where you're standing pretty quickly. That doesn't mean it's not going to, road bumps are going to come in, traffic analysis need to be done, all these different things. But before you start spending those hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, if the project's viable or not.
Here's the question I have for you, is do you see a potential developer coming in and doing more density? Because it's almost a chicken and an egg situation. If you have more density, then the ecosystem's going to get stronger. How do you get more density, though, if, the business opportunities aren't there? So, is it create more jobs, or is it bring the people who then create the jobs because they're coming to the area? Why not target a big-time developer and have a big-time developer come to the area and do another lake, or maybe like what happened with Spring Creek? Is the land there for that?
Development would be a little bit more difficult on the Fluvanna side with only 75,000 gallons of water to start. Louisa is seeing that density. They, of course, also have various job sectors, whether that's the Walmart Distribution Center, North Anna. They have a very good employment centers throughout Louisa. With Fluvanna, though, one thing we have to remember is that we have density. We have a lot of population, is what I should say. We have a 2.1 unemployment rate. And we have a very employable workforce that is traveling to go to their jobs. They've decided, when Keith talked about the Lake Monticello, someone asked me,
is that unemployment rate tied to people working in the county but are having jobs outside the county?
Yeah, so it's if you
just
live in the
people in
county,
general.
if you live in the county,
Okay.
job or not.
Understood.
So when someone asked me just this week at the business roundtable, I have various business roundtables, so business community can stop by, kind of just a easy chat, drop in, drop out. Someone asked, and they said, "What are you doing?" I was like, "We're trying to figure out what rings Fluvanna when we do marketing." And they said, "Well, I'm not really sure. I moved out here because there was a lot of homes available. They were a little bit cheaper." And I said, "Well, you chose to live out here, and that choice has made such a difference in our community. So many people coming to the county. We were the second fastest growing county for year over year.
That's because we only had 600 houses.
Well,
4,500 lots.
but we were seeing tremendous growth in that. With that, we saw our schools expand. We saw our rankings go up. We have a school system that's been accredited in the last 5 years.
Brand new
Every year.
school.
We have a new high school. So we're one of 20 school districts to have that. So we have a lot of people already there. They're just going each direction to go to work. So I think right now we can use that 75,000 gallons of water, and if we can attract a couple more jobs, then we'll start to see things even out.
So I'm going to push back a little bit, and I'm going to put my developer hat on. The reason I was talking about the backbone is so important, right? So Jerry and you and I get together, we put together a bunch of parcels around Science Crossroads, and we want to do a substantially large project that is going to exceed that 75. That doesn't mean I can't walk across the line and make a deal with Louisa County Service Authority and put everybody together and reach across the line, or depending on how the project is shaped, more than likely a large project will incorporate different parcels within the both jurisdictions. So maybe the county can't do that, but as a private developer, we can start reaching out and trying to negotiate.
You talking proffers?
No, I'm not talking process.
Okay.
I'm talking about negotiating. You know, Louisa County currently has about $500,000 gallons of excess capacity of water. I believe that's the number. If Neil's watching,
that's a lot.
He'll correct me. So you know, from a developer perspective, you know, the fact that the backbone is there is the key thing I'm looking at. You know, I can put my negotiating skills together and try to put the rest of the water together that I might need to create a bigger project. So I just want to push a little bit back on that. And, you know, I would be remiss not to mention that the county just recently approved a pretty large project called Colonial Circle right by Lake Monticello. I believe you got a bit of an infographic you can put up.
Let's get that one up, Judah.
The important thing about that is if anybody's driven up and down 53 towards Food Lion, on that there's an intersection of 53 and 618. About 4 or 5 years ago, the current property owner donated approximately $750,000 worth of easements so VDOT can build a roundabout there. So we're going to improve that intersection. Unfortunately, a couple of folks passed away over the years in that intersection. It's not very safe. So that whole intersection is going to be improved, and this particular project is going to be about 325 residential units, 81,000 square feet of commercial, which Bryan is going to hopefully find the owner tenants for. That's a little pressure.
No pressure,
little pressure. So, you know, there is growth happening. You know, this process, frankly, was a 4-year process, but that was not because of the rezoning process. It was because we had to work through VDOT and so forth and so on. So it took time to put the project together.
Give us your take on that.
With the residential that we're adding, there'll be some multifamily. We're talking about possible apartments, townhomes. It'll just give a various opportunity for people to go. You know, I currently live in an apartment.
Different price points.
Yeah, different price points.
Love that.
So I think the one advantage for us is when we're looking at that commercial, because that's the thing I worry about the most, right? How can we fill our commercial spots?
That's your hat you're wearing.
Yeah. So the fact that we'll have commercial right next to some residential, right next to Lake Monticello, next to a roundabout, we have some advantages when it comes to that area of our county. They already have Aqua Virginia servicing their water, so we have all the recipes for additional commercial development.
This portion of the program, thanks to First Heritage Mortgage, Mike Bittrick's team's crushing it for people.
Unbelievable. You know, here's a project that he's going to be getting some mortgages on. So we're pretty excited about our relationship with
First Heritage Mortgage and Mike Bittrick making things happen. Let me throw this to you here. I would think, and I'm going to throw this to you as well, I would think as a guy who's in branding and owns an ad agency, this is a marketing campaign waiting to happen. You have affordable housing. You have fair price points, especially compared to Charlottesville and Albemarle, that are basically touching Fluvanna. I mean, we're talking as the crow flies a few miles away. You have the beauty and the parks. You have a new school and a school system that's improving every single day. I mean, since I've been here, which is 2000 to 2019, the school system is drastically improved. That's fair to say.
I think I graduated in 2006, and I had an excellent education. So
and both my children graduated.
But would you say from a number standpoint, the numbers show that's improved?
I think we were in a great spot when I was in, and we're just constantly getting better.
Okay,
and,
I love that answer right there. Okay, you got the proximity to the interstate as well.
Correct.
You got Louisa, who's turning into this like mecca right now. I mean, it seems like it's an easy push here.
It is. So again, we said earlier, it's education, getting information out. That's hopefully some of what we're going to be doing here today.
Yeah.
And with folks watching and sharing some of the feeds. But, we're in the real estate business. Yona and I do 50, 60 transactions a year. We do quite a bit of business. 50% of it's pretty much at the lake. The others around at the other jurisdictions. And it's amazing when you know that Lake Monticello is being found when you're starting to see the Charlottesville real estate agents start going out there. Right, so this is buyer driven. Where can I find a $225,000 house or a $200,000 house on a third of an acre? Oh, by the way, Lake Monticello has its own police department, its own fire department.
Golf course.
It has a golf course.
Amazing lake.
5 beaches.
Yeah.
I water ski on it with my boat.
I've partied there many times.
Really?
Yes.
Where?
Yes.
Because the chief of police is a friend of mine. So.
Just don't speed at the lake.
Oh,
okay?
Don't do that.
Right?
Do not do that. Do not do that. Now, I'm a runner, as you know, and I run around. It's a great run. So I, coming here this morning, I left my house at 9 o'clock at the lake, made it into town, parked at Water Street, walked down from that, got a cup of coffee at the Pie Chest.
20 minutes?
No, a little longer than that.
25?
No, it was 45 minutes. I'm old, so it took me a long time to walk from the parking garage and for the young lady to make the latte that I had. But, walking out my door, sitting down with you here took me 45 minutes.
That's nothing.
Yeah.
Right?
It's a great area.
But he wants to keep you in Fluvanna, though.
Well, that's the goal.
Yeah.
No, but it's a great area, and that's why people are moving out there.
But you're not going to keep everybody there.
You're not going to keep. We're not going to go from having such a large percentage of our population all of a sudden.
Unless you get like a
UVA.
A UVA.
In Fluvanna. Can you make that
it's
happen, Bryan?
It's just not going to happen.
No, but we're going to try to even it out, and we're going to try to continue. You're talking about different jurisdictions. So one thing I want to make sure people understand is things are completely different in every locality, and that's one of the great things about talking with my partners in the various jurisdictions. Is when we talk about things are so different of, where's a struggle that you're having, what is your locality looking to do versus my locality. In Fluvanna, though, we're starting on a great footing right now because of all the work that has happened before.
You just gave me an idea for a show.
Okay.
Roundtable of Economic Development Directors.
I think that's a no-brainer. Welcome this guy back. He's killing it. This is a question I have for you. You said you're 31?
Yep.
Millennials, the fastest growing demographic from a disposable income standpoint. Talk to us about millennial life in Fluvanna County. Let me give us a plug for one of our sponsors. This portion of the program, thanks to Hairsmith & Company. Hairsmith & Company on Market Street. I mean, if you can do that, you can do a lot of good things.
If you can make this look good, you can do anything.
You can do right now. Millennials in Fluvanna. What are we doing?
Well, the one thing that I always try to, as someone square in the middle of the millennial generation, we're talking about it's a 20-year gap. So we're going from about 21, 22 to 41, 42, depending on where your numbers. So let's just say 20 to 40. Obviously, the 40-year-olds have kids or might have kids looking to move out into Fluvanna. So we have that lifestyle. The thing that we're trying to do is make sure that we advertise all the things that you can do in Fluvanna, the events that you can go to, the experiences that you can have. I know that's a big thing with me and my friends. It was 2 weekends ago, I guess, we went to Cuttingham Creek for some music. Nice, great time out there on the back hill. You can go to Thistlegate, which is our other winery. Pleasant Grove, you want to go hiking. Talk to one of my friends who's always going on trails and then talking about how crowded they are. I said, well, we have 900 plus acres. You're going to see people, but you can easily get lost along the Rivanna River. You can go kayaking. We're trying to get more of our rivers onto the Scenic River program right now. So there's a lot of things that millennials are looking to do and have experiences that you can do in Fluvanna County. We just haven't done probably the best job marketing that up to this point, and that's kind of our next push.
That's you.
Yeah, that's why they brought me in, is try to show what you can do in Fluvanna County so people are constantly aware. People in Charlottesville can come out to Fluvanna, enjoy our park, also maybe enjoy our restaurants, go grocery shopping while you're out there. We wouldn't mind that either.
I would love to see a brewery an entrepreneur bringing a brewery to Fluvanna.
We do have a one brewery that's operating.
Currently?
Correct. Antioch Brewing Company.
Okay.
They are bottling. They do some kegs.
Tap room?
They do not have a tap room currently.
Okay. Is that
So
in the forecast?
they're looking to expand, and hopefully we'll be able to have announcements, sometime in the future of their growth. But
Like a wine or beer trail?
that's one thing we're talking about is how can we do a trail? Maybe it's we won't have as many breweries as, let's say, Route 151, but can we connect our breweries?
You piggyback on one.
Well, can you connect your breweries to your consumables, to your artisan trail? How can we connect all of those together? So
That's an idea.
And that's what we're working on.
So the key here is to keep more people residing,
In Fluvanna.
well, working and residing in Fluvanna, because what happens is when I come home today, I'll bang a right and maybe go up to top of Carter's Mountain, right, or stop at Jefferson Vineyard. So that when we're traveling back and forth, there's other opportunities to do that. So my hat's off to Bryan is that he's trying to get the businesses in here. He's got the infrastructure to do it. But what I think is most exciting, he's trying to communicate, and he is communicating with the local business owners. How can I help you grow your business? How can I help you grow your employee base so maybe not so many people are leaving?
You were totally the right hire for this job.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's exciting, and I was very lucky to have the people that came before me that did a ton of the groundwork to get us where we are. But as Keith was saying, we do business roundtables. Our next one will be July 9th at Local Eats from 4 to 6. And so what we do with those is we give our businesses a chance to come in, tell me what's going on, tell me where I need to help, where I need to get out of the way, what I'm doing, and then also I can explain to them what we're looking to do, where we're going, and get advice from them. So we can all just kind of work together, because that's the big thing. Is we all don't need to. What I want to do is bring as many to the market as possible, and then from there let the market.
So I'm looking at, you guys were talking, I'm looking at some census data. So Lake Monticello currently is almost about a little over 51% my age and up, which is interesting because when I first started in the beginning of this in 87, it was 100% retirees, and it's slowly becoming this, lack of a better term, bedroom community on it. So the millennials, a lot of our clients that we're helping buying houses out there are your guys' ages. So they're coming out there, they're seeing it, they're moving out there. It's where they can get their value. They like the school systems. More importantly, they can bring their children to, play at the parks. I mean, how much money did Lake Monticello spend? They just rebuilt a brand new pool.
Swimming pool.
They've just rebuilt a brand new pro shop with an awesome restaurant in it. They just rebuilt their main clubhouse. I can't tell you how many millions of dollars that they've spent, but all this is just brand new stuff.
And it's the 50th anniversary of
And it's
Lake
the 50th
Monticello.
anniversary.
So,
I love it. Barbara Lundgren is saying Cunningham Creek Winery rocks.
Oh, yeah.
Getting some props right there. Thank you, Barbara, for that. We'll close with some final words here at this portion of the program, thanks to Charlottesville Settlement Company. Charlottesville Settlement Company, a proud sponsor of Real Talk, an insider's guide to Central Virginia real estate, a strategic partner of yours.
And also, they own a business in Fluvanna County. Bill Tucker's office is who's one of the owners of Charlottesville Settlement, and his right next to Villanova's over there across from Food Lion. So another Fluvanna business owner.
Charlottesville Settlement Company, thank you for being a part of the program. Here's what I learned, and then I'm going to throw it to you. I learned that, and correct me if I'm wrong, that roughly 93% of tax revenue in Fluvanna County comes from rooftops. And Bryan and a team of people are looking to see that number potentially go lower. And for that number to go lower, we need to increase the workforce, the job opportunities, and the amount of businesses that are in the county. And if that number goes lower, it offers a real estate tax relief to homeowners. And every homeowner wants to see an extra dollar in their pocket. And I think he's the guy for that, and the team's the guy to help make that happen. It is a startlingly high number. Mm-hmm. That's safe to say.
Yeah.
And I think it's a number that over the next few years, we will see shrink and go a little bit lower. So I learned that today. Final word for you, Bryan. Anywhere you want to go.
I'm just really excited. about what we have going on in Fluvanna County. If you're looking for a great weekend, make sure you check us out. You can go to visitfluvanna.org, or you can go to our economic development page, which is yesfluvanna.org.
Final word for Keith Smith.
I'm just so glad we brought him on, and we're gonna do this with other economic development directors and planning directors in different jurisdictions, so we can get the word out from other jurisdictions within our area. So I just I personally think the world of Bryan, and I want to thank him for coming in here and doing this.
Agreed.
All right, thank
Thank
you,
you,
guys.
sir. Appreciate you. Real Talk, Fridays, 10:15 on the I Love CVille Network. Yes, sir.
So next Friday, it's going to be the Real Yes team. It's going to be Yona and
Yona
I.
in the house.
My wife's in the house, and we're going to talk about, as she's a naturalized citizen, what her experience was, and we're going to kind of pivot a little bit from real estate and just have three of us having a cup of coffee and chat, and we're pretty excited about it.
I'm excited as well. We look forward to seeing you next Friday, Yona. Enjoy your Friday and your weekend. Be safe, have fun, keep the dollars local, and we'll see you on I Love CVille show in about an hour and 10 minutes. Real Talk is Central Virginia's guide to real estate in the area, powered by the Yes team. Enjoy your morning, guys. Good work. Good work. Good work. Yeah, excellent work.
By the way,
content.
thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thought it was good flowing. We're going to get a photo here.